Damn. I had kind of a big intro, but I'm just going to get into it. The sexuality aspect. Okay, the where I find we get sort of lost, where we see something outside of ourselves and we want to fix it, we want to control it. We can't help sometimes because the reflection has gotten it seems so far. It's expanded so wide and so vast. I notice you'll see videos where you'll see maybe more melanated people will say, well, those white people are aliens, or Caucasian, um, from Asian. What does Ka mean? It's death. And then the white person will take it personal. There's a name, that like there's names for everyone else, and also, white people. But white people struggle with, well, how come you can call me all those names, but I can't call you the names that you find derogatory? And see, that's it. That's it. You created yourself. So what are you taking personal? To put it in very easy terms to relate to, let's look at Hawaii. I live here. I live in the kingdom of Hawaii. More importantly, I live in the kingdom. The kingdom is just where I put my crown. And at one time, we were all kings and queens, which means we still are. There's no movement happening. No one can take your kingdom away from you. No one can. No one can take it away from you. The kingdom of Hawaii is here, has been here, and will always be here. Your kingdom is there and always will be. If you're not calling yourself a king, you might be surprised. Not too many people may call you that. If you don't recognize yourself, why did you create a mirror? And then when that mirror expands so far and you forget to see yourself, you might find yourself not putting on your crown. And that's okay. That's okay. Just remember that all these situations arising are for you to remind yourself who you are. You don't have to take any other story personal. You don't. So let's come back to how we can relate this more personally. I see in the phone as I'm watching myself talk that I look of somewhat pale skin. What does that mean to me? I don't know. My tattoos show up. I don't know. I mean, I got a bunch of tattoos, and I don't know. It doesn't make a difference to me. And what is that? That's privilege. If you can't admit that to yourself, then you're going to experience some strange form of occupation. You're going to experience something outside of yourself to remember how perfect you are. So you'll feel guilty. You'll feel shameful. And then anger creeps in sometimes because separation is an illusion. So there's this reverberation, this bouncing off of guilt and shame that you will get, and it will speed up, it will heat up, and it will change colors. Why? Because you've forgotten to see in ultraviolet light, my friends. Energy manifests. Your future self, your past self, is the only self right now. To deny one is to deny all. To extrapolate a tiny bit is to just ignore everything. Without one, there would not be the other. We all manifested from. The mother gave birth to all. So if we're going to pretend that we're actually real, beyond all the name calling, beyond all the identity, we had to come from something. And we know in the physical sense of the word, the mother just spurs everything through her. So like today, I was going to do my podcast. I was all set, out of the shower, ready to fucking go. And my friend messages me, I need you. I need a friend. And I was like, oh, I got all this stuff in my head. I need to do my process. Oh, I just might forget it. It might not come out right. My friend needs me. What a privilege. What does it matter? Doing something silly, sit in front of my phone and listening to myself talk. Do I really take myself as serious as to think that this does anything? Connection is what's real. Listening to my friend's process helped me so much. Oh. And I didn't try to control it. I just listened to her. Whoa. And magically, her process is what's like it's what's on the menu, only from male to female, masculine to feminine. And ultimately, what it seemed that we came to is that it is all the mother. Where did the father come from? So now you can get into this God place, right? And if you're gonna go there, then we all keep coming from the same thing. A sentient life, a breath that is able to be taken in. So eventually we're going to, no matter how many times the roles reverse, the poles flip, no matter how many times racism flips itself upside down and crashes, no matter how much violence, oppression, all of the things. The next generation is going to come up and be like, what are you guys doing? Don't do that. See, I know the way that I saw Hawaii will always be the way that I see Hawaii. And I'm not talking about no state. The land is not owned. No, my friends. The mother gave birth to me. Her. I get to grow food on the land. I can't possess it. I get to channel the water. I can't possess it. That can't possess the water. Does that make any sense? No. No. It's all feminine. It all is. So what is the Father? I'm the Father. Was I always the Father? No. No. But if I continue to reside in the guilt and the shame, can I show up as a father today for what's right here, right now in front of me? And that's what she said. She said, I'm so tired of all this. The fuck boy or the controlling, manipulative man, the mansplainer. I just want to fall into him. Wow. Oh, wow. That's so good. That's so beautiful. Raw. And then she goes on to explain in the conversation that she's dripping moon blood while she's talking to me. And it's like, so let me get this right. You're sad. Feeling hurt and resistant and blameful and so unseen by the masculine. Yet every time you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you do it again. You breathed man into existence. You create him. You fall into him again and again. You forgive him somehow. No matter how many times he hurt you, you forgave him. You love him so much. You choose him. And you ultimately know you created him for that feeling. So you have to reach up your hand to the Father. His softness is yours. Wow. Wow. His softness is yours. What a gift. So, of course, like the godless Jew, I like religion, so I like to play around with it. But you look into, what's his name? The first famous godless Jew. Sigmund Freud. What a cool cat that dude was. Eventually lost a battle to cancer, losing half his face. But, that man knew he was onto something there because there's always something more. Science is not going to answer everything. It's going to bring us to a place of evolution that is beyond the conceivable. Because nothing is artificial intelligence. Where did the artificial intelligence come from? See where I'm going with this? The Kingdom of Hawaii is not a movement. Just like Black Lives is not a movement. No one can take the matter of a life away from you. So the insecure Karen or the insecure white, pale, the one feeling the guilt and shame and the seeing of the separation takes it personal. And of course it all makes sense, because of course all lives matter. No shit. So the arguing, it's this separation. Now there's all this, what we see as empty space in between. But where we're going, the future is in and out of the sun. So the pigmentation varies. We needed to evolve. Now there's some people, like myself, I'm literally in the sun, like constantly. I'm also in the moon. I'm just the outside guy. So there's some sort of evolution happening here. My point is that it's not a movement. The only movement is your bowels, my friends. If you're not a king, no one can give you your crown. No, you put it on. Somebody can try to take it off, but you have to allow it. No. The state of Hawaii is a joke. The Kingdom of Hawaii is real. No one ever took away that. So when you put the license plates on your car that says state, Aloha State, when you drive around, you might be surprised how it feels to live inside that kind of contradiction. Imagine being a vegan, for example, but then cheating. Imagine being a vegan, but being so selective that you're not even observing what it took, all the animals' lives that it took to get that vehicle that you're riding around in, and the resources that it takes to keep that vehicle moving. You know, all the food that's shipped on the same truck that contains all the same resources, including animals. So there's where we get into this vibration, that space in between, right? It will heat up, and it will literally take away the human's ability to see in ultraviolet. But that's where we're going. But it's not in the sense of the future. It may just, I'm only using that word because it's how we talk. But that's it too. But where we're evolving from and to simultaneously is this is for pleasure. This voice box is for pleasure. It tickles the hairs in my ears. It registers some sort of awareness. So we're going to start taking more pleasure in those things. Like we got away from ourselves. We created such a deep sense of identity that there became objectification, right? We created so much food that we created this deep sense of gluttony. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean you cannot eat. It doesn't mean your choice of food. Like you look at people arguing over Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There's violence, deep, extreme hatred for one side and the other. That's a disease. That's an illness. That's death. There's no such thing as death. You cannot die. You can't die. You think you do, so you do. The controlling mind wants to control another mind. When you leave your own mind, the death begins. Don't leave your own mind. You have the ability to procreate, give birth to. When you do that, it's a complete and total freedom. Here you go. Now, that child, of course, it has some sense of need, compulsory. So the nurturing, of course, is the privilege. So, as we remember the honor, how to honor the kings and queens, right? Like the masculine, of course, needs to remember, to recall how worthy he is of the queen. So he doesn't need to hide from her. He can be vulnerable, yet simultaneously be the one she can fall into. She created him as such. A strong man that could catch her when she falls, because she wants to fall into his love. The Father is always there. Yet she still has to reach up her hand. Oh, God. We're so lucky to have one another. And I promise you, we're going to remember that. We will recall that. The darkest of skin is so beautiful to me. So is the palest. Like that white behind me there. You ever really met a chalky white ass woman like that, with that kind of like hair that doesn't make sense the way that it looks? It's almost like, the ivory. That skin, and it's so delicate and soft. And then when it's naked, laying next to my body, the contrast is like so interesting to observe. And then, when I lay with such deep melanation, I just am like in awe of how perfect that skin is. And it's all just like one big honor, like to be included in that sense. Like, wow, thanks for including me. So, I've really been aching to talk about my sexuality, and that's it. I'm in some sense of discovery that I can't explain it. Because it has nothing to do with tomorrow, I guess. I'm just grateful for being included. Thanks for making me. Like I'm here. I'm here. So when I am experiencing different emotions, right? I'm in a process. When I'm observing, you know, uh, a, it's some kind of weird, strange war between these Trumpers and these Bideners, or I'm just saying words. But, these two people that think it's a life and death scenario. And then they rage on each other. That's weird. And then people say, oh, these kids these days, they live on the internet. That's not real. That's not real life. No wonder why we're so fucked up. Our society is all fucked up because we don't have real life experiences. First and foremost, none of this is real. And simultaneously, that kid playing a video game is helping you to evolve into the most amazing sense of the future, converging on what you see as artificial intelligence in such a rapid sense of evolution, technology, that we evolve with what we see now as artificial intelligence. But I promise you, it will become you, so much so that you recognize it could never have been artificial intelligence because you made it. So when you finally see yourself in the white man, it will vanish. When you finally see yourself in the black man, vanish. When the Hawaiian chanting is heard, you will finally see yourself. When your license plates don't say state next to aloha, because that is a god darn it contradiction in itself. You will refuse to operate a motorized vehicle with that kind of contradiction. You will stand up for your kingdom. You will remind everyone that you cannot take that away, that you need to come here and slit my throat if you want to try it.